He thought this trip would save his marriage. But on their romantic getaway, he caught his wife with another man laughing, touching, lying right to his face. He didn't shout. He didn't fight. Instead, he smiled and walked away. Because what he did next is quiet, calculated revenge was beyond anything she could have imagined. This is how one man turned heartbreak into the most unforgettable payback ever. Welcome to English Stories with Sherry. Grab a cozy seat and let's journey through magical tales, classic stories, and everyday adventures all in English. Learning the language has never been this fun. It was supposed to be the trip that saved their marriage. Ethan had planned every detail: the oceanfront villa, the sunset dinners, the quiet walks by the beach. After months of tension, silence, and arguments that ended with slammed doors, he thought maybe, just maybe, this getaway could bring them back to the way they once were. They'd been married for 7 years. 7 long years filled with laughter, dreams, and lately distance. His wife, Claire, had changed. She'd grown distant, glued to her phone more often, smiling at messages she'd quickly hide when he walked in. Ethan had noticed, of course, but love makes you hope. Hope that maybe it's just stress. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's not what it looks like. So he decided to surprise her. A romantic getaway to the coast, the same place where he proposed years ago. The same sea breeze that once carried their laughter through the night. When he told Claire about the trip, she hesitated. Said she had deadlines. Said maybe next month. But when Ethan insisted, when he showed her the tickets and said he already took care of everything, she finally smiled. That smile used to light up his world. But this time, it felt different. Forced. They arrived at the resort on a Friday evening. The ocean shimmered in gold as the sun began to set. Claire seemed distracted, checking her phone every few minutes. Ethan brushed it off, trying to stay positive. He had arranged a private dinner by the shore that night: candles, flowers, the sound of waves crashing gently against the rocks. But during dinner, Claire's phone buzzed again. She excused herself, saying it was her sister calling. She walked toward the boardwalk, out of sight. Ethan didn't want to seem paranoid, but something in his gut twisted. He waited a few minutes, then quietly followed her path. His heart pounded louder than the ocean. As he turned the corner behind a cluster of palm trees, he froze. There she was. His wife laughing, her hand brushing against another man's arm. The man leaned in close, whispering something that made her blush the same way she used to blush for Ethan. Ethan's chest tightened. The air left his lungs. He felt like the world had stopped spinning. For a few seconds, he couldn't move. Couldn't think. Then, slowly, he pulled out his phone. His hands trembled as he recorded what he saw, not because he wanted revenge, but because he needed proof. Proof that he wasn't losing his mind. Claire turned around suddenly, and her eyes widened when she saw him standing there. The color drained from her face. The man beside her stepped back, confused, mumbling something about leaving. Ethan didn't shout. He didn't throw things. He just looked at her, that empty, broken kind of stare that said everything words couldn't. Then he turned around and walked away. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat on the balcony, watching the waves crash over and over, like the way his thoughts did in his head. Every memory replayed: their wedding, her laughter, the promises. And now, the betrayal. In the morning, Claire tried to talk to him. She cried, begged, said it was a mistake. Said it just happened. But Ethan knew. You don't accidentally plan secret meetings during a vacation meant to fix your marriage. He said nothing. Just nodded, packed his bag, and told her to enjoy the rest of her getaway. Then he left. But what she didn't know was his payback had already begun. Before they left for the trip, Ethan had taken precautions. He had felt something off for weeks: her late-night messages, sudden girls' nights, unexplained expenses. So he quietly hired a private investigator. And what the investigator found was far worse than a simple affair. Claire hadn't just been unfaithful. She had been slowly siphoning money from their joint account. Tens of thousands over several months, hidden under fake home renovation payments. And who was helping her? The same man she met on the beach, her co-worker, Daniel. But Ethan didn't confront her. Not yet. He wanted her to believe he was broken, that he had simply walked away in silence. Meanwhile, he set his plan in motion. Ethan was a financial consultant, smart, patient, and methodical. While Claire enjoyed her little vacation, he quietly moved their remaining savings into a private account. He transferred the title of their house, which was under his name, to a trust she couldn't touch. And then, with every document and proof of her affair neatly organized, he filed for divorce. He didn't stop there. Remember the romantic getaway? He had paid for it using her credit card, the same one she used for those secret expenses. Every dinner, every luxury, every bottle of champagne charged under her name. When Claire returned home a few days later, she found an envelope on the dining table. Inside were photos, the ones Ethan had taken that night, along with copies of bank statements and the divorce papers. At the bottom, a note in his handwriting. "You said this trip would change everything. You were right." The next few weeks were chaos. Claire called, begged, screamed, then cried again. But Ethan didn't respond. Not once. He had moved into a new apartment across town, started fresh. His friends said he looked calmer. Lighter, even. But the story didn't end there. Months later, Ethan received an invitation. His company was hosting a charity gala. He almost didn't go, but something inside told him to. When he arrived, dressed in a sharp black suit, people turned to look. Confidence radiated off him again, something he hadn't felt in years. And then, across the room, he saw her. Claire in a red dress, looking lost. Alone. The man she cheated with wasn't by her side anymore. Rumor had it he left her after her finances crumbled. She noticed Ethan and froze. For a brief second, she almost smiled, as if expecting anger or maybe forgiveness. But Ethan simply raised his glass, gave her a polite nod, and turned away. That, more than any revenge, broke her completely. Because silence is louder than any scream. After the gala, Ethan went outside, leaning on the balcony as the city lights shimmered below. A woman approached someone new. Her name was Mia, a colleague from another branch. They talked, laughed, and something about her felt genuine, kind. For the first time in a long time, Ethan felt something real. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Just peace. And maybe that was the true payback, not destroying her life, but rebuilding his own. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't payback at all. It's healing. It's living better than before. It's showing that betrayal doesn't define you, it frees you. Weeks later, Claire sent one last message. Just 5 words. "I'm sorry. I miss you." Ethan looked at it for a long moment. Then he deleted it. No reply. No closure. Just silence. He turned his phone off, walked to his balcony, and watched the sunrise. The sky was painted in gold, the same color as the day he had caught her cheating. But now, it meant something else, a new beginning. As the sunlight washed over him, Ethan realized something profound. Revenge hadn't made him happy. Peace had. And by walking away with dignity, he'd taken back the power she tried to steal. And that was beyond imagination. But there was one last twist. Months after the divorce was finalized, Ethan received a call from his lawyer. Turns out, Claire's financial misconduct had triggered an audit. Because she had been embezzling funds not just from their joint account but from her workplace too. The same man she cheated with had reported her to protect himself. She lost her job, her home, and her reputation. Everything she had tried to build with lies gone. Ethan didn't celebrate. He didn't even smile. He simply said, "Thank you for letting me know," and hung up. Then, he went back to his work, poured himself a cup of coffee, and stared out the window calm, composed, unbothered. He had already moved on. Sometimes the universe doesn't need your help for justice. It has its own timing. And when it strikes, it doesn't miss. As months turned into a year, Ethan and Mia grew closer. They started traveling together not to escape the past, but to build new memories. Each trip reminded him that love could still exist pure, loyal, and kind. He never once looked back. Because when you've been through betrayal, you learn something powerful: forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. Ethan's story became a quiet testament that you don't need to destroy someone to get even. Just walk away and let time do the rest. And maybe, somewhere deep down, Claire finally understood that. Maybe she looked at old photos, saw that smile she once gave him, and realized she didn't just lose a husband. She lost a good man who would have given her the world. And that was the part that hurt most. Because while she drowned in regret, Ethan had already learned to swim again in calmer, clearer waters. His revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was silent, elegant, and poetic. Thanks for listening to English Stories with Sherry. If you enjoyed today's tale, like, subscribe, and share with a friend learning English. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep learning, and keep listening.